Hi guys, in this video I want to talk about Russia banning YouTube and YouTube banning Russia-based AdSense accounts, how this affects my channel, and the significance and meaning of YouTube in Russia. So in the end of July, the Russian government started slowing YouTube. YouTube doesn't work if you watch it from your computer, laptop, or your TV set. It only works on the phone, but I think that soon it will stop working there as well. Also, there are news that people start to call to their phone connection providers, asking them like, what is happening? Why are you slowing the internet for me? So some people don't know that it's actually the government that is doing it. So now I want to talk about the story of this fight. Actually, for many years already, even before 2022, the government would constantly file lawsuits against YouTube, and the main reason was that YouTube didn't want to delete the videos that Roskomnadzor, the Russian censorship agency, asked them to delete, because obviously these videos did not violate any YouTube rules, but it violated the point of view of the Russian government. And yes, YouTube did ban some Russian propaganda channels, for example, Artemy Lebedev or Stas Vasiliev, Russia Today, or Shaman, the singer of war. So different Russian political figures were calling YouTube out for censoring the free speech. And it's funny that it comes from people who basically jail Russian citizens for criticizing the government, but okay. Also, it's funny how they associate YouTube as a private company with the collective West as a whole. And now I want to talk about the meaning that YouTube had for me and for people in Russia in general. So as a platform, I started using it probably in the age of 12. It was about 2012. I even started uploading my first videos to YouTube with my friends. We participated in some city contest. It was related to a healthy lifestyle, so we made a video called Milky Fairy Tale, and there also was the Russian folklore character Baba Yaga, her izbushka. So I have really nice memories with that movie, and I posted it on YouTube. Then a couple of years after that, we also made videos like a movie parody of Twilight or Hunger Games, and I did this with the same group of friends. We were really good friends, and by the way, now one of them died at this special military operation thanks to Putin. But yeah, I always posted something on YouTube, and several years ago I started this channel, and it's something that was so normal for people in Russia because we had our own Russian YouTubers network. Katya Kleb was like Russian Jenna Marbles, or Max plus 100 the comedy show. There were beefs between YouTubers, rap battles, travel vloggers. It was really prosperous and prolific. What is more, in Russia, YouTube is not only the source of entertainment for people, but also it was the main opposition media. And I think it is how the Russian segment of YouTube different from the Western one. Because, you know, the Russian opposition hasn't had the access to the people for many years already, you know. One of the popular Russian opposition YouTube channels is called Telekanal Dozhd, TV Rain. When I learned about this channel, I was like, why are you calling yourself a TV channel? You are just a YouTube channel. But actually, it used to be aired on the Russian TV. And maybe in early 2000s, it was even possible to see TV channels that criticized the government, but with every year it was becoming worse. And that's why on the Russian segment of YouTube you can find so many professional journalists who have their channels and shows. So the Dozhd that I mentioned, Novaya Gazeta, Plющev with the breakfast show, Ekaterina Shulman. And in a normal situation, these people would have their programs on the federal TV or radio, but in Russia they all moved to YouTube because it was the only alternative for them. And also, of course, Navalny and his team played a big role, and they told the Russian people about the terrible corruption, how our authorities steal from us. And for many people it was eye-opening, even for those who were not interested in politics before. So it's quite obvious why our government would block YouTube, and I'm even surprised that they are doing this only now, because in 2022 Russia banned Instagram and Facebook. We are already already used to using VPN, but of course not everyone in Russia even knows about VPN. And many bloggers moved to Telegram. It's like a fusion of a messenger and a social media network. And YouTube still surprisingly worked on the territory of Russia since the beginning of the invasion to Ukraine. And now I want to talk about this more. And back then, in the beginning of 2022, as you know, many companies started to leave Russia, and YouTube paused its monetization. Essentially, if you watch a video on YouTube on the territory of Russia, you will not see any ads on this video, and probably for some people it is very comfortable, but it was a big problem for the Russian YouTubers who made videos for the Russian audience. And it's not my case because I was smart when I created this channel. Well, I created it to share Russia and the Russian culture with foreigners. That's why I chose English language, and the majority of my viewers are from outside of Russia. That's why it didn't affect me back then, and I still had my Russia-based AdSense account. And another big change that happened in the beginning of 2022, that Russia was cut off SWIFT, and it became more difficult to get money from monetization, but some banks still worked with SWIFT, and I used Raiffeisen Bank. And as I learned recently, some small Russian no-name banks like Moscow Invest Something also worked with SWIFT, and this is how YouTubers like myself who lived in Russia but made videos for foreign audience managed to collect their money from their AdSense accounts. Or they worked with a partnership network. I honestly don't understand how it works and why you would need such a partnership, because it takes a fee from your income. But okay, for these YouTubers, this partnership was very useful because it actually was able to transfer their money from AdSense to Western banks and then to transfer it to crypto. And now I want to tell you about the Google AdSense and how it worked for YouTubers. So I created my AdSense in Russia in 2021 when I started receiving views from this channel. And there is some intricate process because you in fact have to receive an actual letter from YouTube to your physical address, which I think is a very outdated process, but okay. So back then I received the code in the letter, registered my AdSense account with my Russian passport, and started receiving income and paying taxes to Russia, because I also created individual entrepreneurship back then. It worked for me perfectly until Russia decided to invade Ukraine. So when in 2022 the sanctions were imposed, I moved to Raiffeisen Bank and it worked for me well. But then in September of 2022 I finally moved to Georgia, and recently another news came, and now I will answer the question whether this situation affects me. I mean, YouTube banning Russia-based AdSense accounts, and it does not affect me because I'm a smart girl. And when I moved to Georgia, I made a Georgia-based AdSense account, and for this I had to get a driving license for a motorbike. It's quite a funny story, because if you watched my channel like 3 years ago, there I shared how I tried to get a driving license but for a car. So the joke is that now finally I got the driving license but for a motorbike. It is a legal ID that I could use to prove to Google that I am residing on the territory of Georgia. And to get this driving license I had to pass only theoretical exam, and that very day I got my ID card, registered with it my new AdSense account for Georgia. Then I had again to wait for the paper letter from Google, and finally got my monetization back, because for this time I paused it. So now I'm so proud of myself that I went through this process last year, because I wanted to cut any connection with the Russian government, with like these services there. And I now know that it was the right decision, even though my anxiety tells me that something is wrong here. It can't be so easy, like what is the catch? And now we have some interesting feeling, because I feel sorry for other English-speaking YouTubers from Russia like me who share my political beliefs, like Roman or like other YouTubers who still had their Russian AdSense account for some reason. But you know what? I don't feel sorry for those YouTubers. Like, they're this unique segment of English-speaking YouTube from Russia, and these people support the Russian government, the war, and basically, as we say in Russian, they have людоедские взгляды, like cannibalistic views, and I despise these people. And well, okay, this is their political opinion and they also can share it on YouTube. But wait, why are they sharing this here on the Western platform? Aren't they saying that YouTube is censoring them and deleting their channels for speaking positively about Russia? But anyway, from some group chats, I know that now these people are having the same problem. And you know what? I don't feel sorry for them. In the Russian language, we have this verb злорадствовать. It consists of two words, зло, which is evil, and радость, which is joy. So it is a state of feeling joy when your opponent is going through some troubles. Anyway, it's not that bad for them because now they are just going to use help of their partnership network, using crypto, and, well, using VPN. But okay, if the Russian government is finally banning YouTube now, probably they have some alternative, they have something to offer to their citizens. So yeah, probably the leader of this amazing list is VK Video, and VK is basically Russian Facebook, and I used to like this website a lot because it was a combination of Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Reddit and whatnot. But now basically VK is ФСБшная помойка, a Russian security forces dump, because FSB use it to arrest people, they got access to private messages and jail the people who criticize the government. And although it's possible to upload videos to VK, it is just terrible, it's not functioning, I don't like the design, and the system of recommendations doesn't work as good as on YouTube. That's why VK didn't manage to gain popularity for many years. But still, in 2022, many Russian YouTubers moved to VK Video. Since the monetization was blocked on the territory of Russia, they would receive 10 times higher income if they moved to VK Video or signed contracts with Russian TV channels. Anyway, VK is not that convenient. And I would say the same about all the other alternatives for YouTube, for example, RuTube, which exists for such a long time, but still it's even worse than VK, and I don't know anyone from Russia who would use RuTube. There's some platform called Яндекс.Дзен, but it's rather for blogging. And all these platforms don't seem to be a decent YouTube replacement, because according to statistics, now, besides searching for VK Video or Яндекс.Дзен, people also search for Vimeo and Bilibili, which is a Chinese version of YouTube. So it's not that people in Russia unanimously and enthusiastically switch to VK Video. No, they're still looking for foreign alternatives. I think it's indicative of the state of Russian possible YouTube replacements. So I don't know what is going to happen to YouTube in Russia now, because probably 50% of viewers will just use VPN, and if I now was living in Russia, this would add up to my anxiety and even humiliation, that why the government decides what I want to watch. And I asked one person who lives in Russia now, like, how do you feel? And she said that, well, we're used to it, it just feels like another unpleasant obstacle that I have to overcome. And also she told me that it's possible to kind of reprogram your laptop or your TV so that YouTube will work. I think that people who are familiar with IT stuff will do this now, but again, a larger majority of people will probably just not be able to watch YouTube. And it's very sad, because YouTube was an important platform for dissident Russians who feel isolated otherwise, because when you live there and you see Z letters everywhere, you see propaganda on the federal TV, it's easy to feel lonely and think that you are the only one who thinks like this. That's why when people watch Navalny or Telekanal Dozhd on YouTube, they, and I also, felt like I'm not alone, but now this is just another brick that the Russian government puts into this wall of censorship. If you live in Russia now and somehow you managed to watch this video, please let me know in the comments how you managed to do this. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Write your opinion in the comments, what you think about this whole situation. Would you use VK video if I was not able to post my videos on YouTube? Also, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and yeah, goodbye, пока-пока.